YouTube when we're done, and then I can go to the keynote and resume my share. Okay, so welcome to Wise Words for Managing Money During Crisis. Thanks to those who are live here with us, whether on Zoom or on Facebook. Thanks to those that are watching the recording. Participation's encouraged but not required. We've got the chat on the Zoom, we've got the comments on Facebook, and we might bring some of the people that have joined us live. If they want to participate live, we'll let them unmute and join the conversation as we go. But first, let me remind you what we're talking about today. We're talking to individuals and families and talking about your personal finance and creative ways to move forward through this crisis positively. And we're thinking, yes, we want things that are timely for COVID-19, April 2020, but this could also be crises that we go through all the time. And there could be parts of this that are applicable to any kind of crisis. So remember, even if something doesn't apply to you today, it might at a future crisis, whatever that could look like, whether it's something you experience individually, just in your community, or maybe a global thing like we're experiencing right now. Today, we are going to do some introductions. We're going to share 10-ish hopeful thoughts. I've got 10. We'll see if we get through them all in the time we have. They start really specific and then get really general. As we're going through these 10, look what sticks out to you. Look for what shimmers, and then you can come back to it and we can go more in depth to it, especially when we get to the open floor. We can always go back to them. Now, this is not your typical live call. This is not a webinar where we're trying to sell anything. So we're not going through the problem, right? We all know the problem way too well at this point, and we're not here to sell anything. So we don't need to put our thumb into the wound like a lot of people do when they do these kind of live calls. So none of that today, just lots of hopeful thoughts and strategies for moving forward. So starting with introductions, if you're watching this live, please say in the chat who you are, what you're looking to get out of this conversation. I can't see the chat right now, but Brandon's monitoring the chat and will make sure that we get to what you're looking at to get out of the conversation. And I'll make sure that when we get to the open floor, we can come back to those things. So as you're thinking of them, put them in there. If you're watching this live on Facebook, you can put it in the comments on Facebook. Brandon will see it there too. And then if you're watching the recording, we'll still be monitoring the comments. So comment away. And if we don't answer something throughout the conversation, we can come back to it. Maybe make it part of a future video because we're doing these every single day during April at 8 p.m. Eastern. One really important resource, if there is something that I don't talk about today that you wish I would have talked about that's maybe not related to money, this is a website that I'm sending people to if they need something that's beyond my specialty. And all you got to do is Google Marie Forleo and coronavirus. I'm going to actually pull up the site on my page here. When you go there, it's coronavirus support guide, and you'll see there's 154 comments as of right now. And she's got all these things like how to manage your stress, fear, and anxiety, hotlines, crisis centers, and resources, funny stuff, how to stay active without a gym, how to educate and entertain your kids. For U.S. citizens, updates about unemployment and mortgage services. There's all kinds of stuff here. And then some of my favorite things are actually in the comments, which I haven't read all of them, but I was looking at them before we started recording today because Marie has such a great community of people. I noticed one of them, I was going to see if I could find it really quick. Like there's people, and there was one lady. Yeah, so here she made a coloring book to be used. There's another lady she's in Italy and she's getting out of her comfort zone, and she made a YouTube video to share what's really going on in Italy because so many people are asking her. So some really cool stuff there, both in what Marie shares as well as in what her community shares in the comments. So that's recommendation for getting some more things besides managing money, right? An important note, kind of have to throw this in here. These are just some ideas to get you thinking. If you want individual advice, individual actions, more of the how-to side of things, like investment, accounting, or legal advice, be sure you consult a professional. I am not an accountant or a CPA. I don't play one on TV. I wanted to go to law school, but I never did, right? I can't tell you what stocks to buy or not buy. Those aren't what we're going to talk about today. But we do love to talk about similar things. We're just not giving individual specific advice. Be sure that you take what we share and apply it to your unique situation. Okay, without further ado, here are the 10 things. First one, lots of people are going to get a bunch of money from the government. The government's going to be direct depositing it into your bank account, or if you don't have direct deposit, you're going to be getting a check. I heard a statistic that only 10% of the population makes $100,000 or more. And so that tells me that about 90% of the population is going to be getting one of these checks. The $1,200 per individual, $500 per child if they're under 17, up to some of those income limits. This has been talked about a lot. But the thing that's not talked about a lot is, what are you going to do with that money when it's in your bank account? Or when you take that check and you cash it and you've got cash in your hand. Most people, if I were to venture to guess, a year from now are not going to know where that money went. The question is, what will you do differently than most people? And I think this might be the most impactful question you can ask yourself. What should I do with this money that the government is sending me? Ask it now before you get it. Ask it when you get it. Ask it for every single dollar that's part of that. And if you really stop and you really think, what should I do with this money? And the answer that you feel in your gut of gut and your heart of hearts is to go buy pizza, then go buy pizza, right? This is an individual decision that you're making. There's no judgment, nothing like that. Do what you feel is best with this money. Just make sure that you really sit there and take it seriously. And that a year from now, you're going to feel really good about what you did with that money. That's what I have to say about that. What should you do with that money? That's individual. That's for you to decide. We actually did a whole half hour talking about that exact thing yesterday, if you want to go back and check out that video on Facebook or YouTube's. Okay, number 2, in the off chance that you're getting a tax refund for the 2019 year and you haven't filed your taxes, I think it's a great idea to get your taxes filed. If we don't know, could the IRS shut down? Hopefully not. They're still processing returns right now, or refunds as well. But I've been hearing from some tax professionals that they've been waiting on hold for a really long time to talk to someone at the IRS. And so if there's any kind of lag, especially with all the different things they have to do with the other part of this, the stimulus packages and stuff, you wouldn't want to delay that refund. So I would recommend getting it done. If you don't feel comfortable with an online do-it-yourself service like TurboTax or H&R Block or whatever, I know there's like a million of them now, and you're obviously not going to go into an accountant's office to get your taxes. There's actually this really cool service called Prepare.tax that has trained tax professionals, not just somebody who sat through like a couple-hour training, but years of tax experience and training that you can get 25% off getting your tax return done and getting that refund on its way to you. Of course, if you're paying taxes, there's no rush. They've extended the deadline. But if you're getting a refund, I don't see any reason to wait. Including, someone asked me this question yesterday, so they're basing the money they're going to send you off your 2018 tax return unless you filed 2019, and then they're going to base it off your 2019 tax return. If you would have qualified, but now you don't for that $1,200, maybe your income went from $60,000 to $120,000 between 2018 and 2019. Maybe in that kind of situation, you delayed filing your taxes, but most likely in that situation, you're not getting a big refund anyway. So there's no reason to wait, or there's no reason to go ahead and file now. Can wait. But for a lot of us, that refund can make a big difference in if we're able to pay our bills and get through this crisis. So just a little idea there. Now, a lot of people are considering going into debt right now in order to make ends meet, buy groceries. And this is actually a really great opportunity to stretch your creativity. This is an opportunity to grow. Debt is a way too easy of a way out from this crisis and any crisis. And just taking that easy way out hampers your creativity, both now and in the future. Right now, you don't get to exercise those creative muscles because you just take the easy way out, and in the future, you don't get to exercise your creativity because your money that you are bringing in at that point is already spoken for. So keep asking yourself this question: what's it going to take to? So if you need to buy groceries and you don't know where the grocery money is coming from, what's it going to take to get groceries? If you need to pay your mortgage, if you need to have money for summer camp, if summer camp's coming, like I don't want to use just essentials. Maybe there's some really fun things that you wanted to do and you're thinking, I'm just going to go into debt to do this. Just ask this question: what's it going to take to still do this thing? And involve the whole family in answering that question. Don't feel like you have to do it alone. I bet your kids or your spouse or your cousin or whoever you want to involve could come up with some creative ideas for you. Now, there's one exception, though. Number 4 here. One exception, I think, with taking on debt is if you have equity in your home right now, or some other kind of property you own, it might be a good time to look into a refinance of your mortgage. You can refinance your mortgage if you owe 80% or less of your home's value. And there's ways you can do it electronically. You don't have to go anywhere to do that refinance. And basically what that would mean is, let's say your home is worth $100,000 and your mortgage is only $50,000. You could take out a new mortgage for $80,000, pay off your old mortgage for the $50,000, and then you have $30,000 that you could use during this crisis, or use for something different. The reason that I think now it might be a good time to at least explore it is that mortgage rates are still really low and we don't know when they're going to go up. They could go up this fall if there's a lot of foreclosures, or even with the forbearance where a lot of people are delaying their mortgage payments. The mortgage companies still need to make money. And how are they going to do that? They're going to raise interest rates. So at least potentially. So if that's something that you have as an opportunity, might be a good opportunity to explore that. And then number 5 here, this recent stimulus package also gave you the opportunity to potentially take out money from your retirement accounts, your 401ks or your IRAs, up to $100,000 without a 10% penalty if you're under 59 and a half. The big question is, should you? If you have that opportunity, should you? One thing to think about is that they're saying this is for people that have been adversely impacted by the virus. Either they've contracted the virus, or their spouse or a close family member has, or they've been laid off or lost their job. And there's not a clear check and balance on that right now. Whatever company has your retirement funds, you just call them up and say, hey, I want to take out $75,000. Send me the check. I shouldn't have a penalty because I've been adversely affected. And they'll ask you to confirm that. And if you say, yes, that's true, they'll send you the money. They won't withhold the penalty and things like that. But then when you file your taxes next year, it's not really clear what's going to happen. So make sure before you do that you are adversely impacted, and maybe you have some kind of documentation to back that up, or it's really clear, like you lost your job, or you got the virus, or you have medical bills from the virus, or something like that. But let's say that is true. We're always told not to tap into our retirement funds, right? We're told those are for the retirement. Why would you use them now? They're supposed to be there for you when you're old. That's a great question. There are ways you can put it back into your 401k and IRA as you're, over the next 3 years so that there's no tax penalty either. Or maybe you just save it somewhere else, increase your savings. There's a lot of creative things you could do to make sure you're not sabotaging your retirement by doing that. Again, not going to tell you how, but telling you what to do. Like have a plan and a strategy to make sure retirement's still on track if you do take part of that money out of your retirement funds. Okay? Now, number 6, ask for helpful changes. If there are things that you have to pay and that you're not sure how you're going to pay, you just got to pick up the phone, ask them, send an email, get on chat on their website, however you do it, and ask to renegotiate. Maybe you have an electric bill that you can't pay. Maybe you call and say, hey, can you extend my due date? Or can I pay a portion of it? If you have a loan that you're paying, maybe you ask for a delay in paying that loan. If you have a credit card, maybe they can give you no interest for a while. But the thing is, they're not just going to give it to you. You have to call and ask. And I've heard of people waiting on hold for hours, particularly with mortgage companies, and they have no idea how they're going to pay their mortgage right now. So put some earbuds in, have something to do with your hands, maybe cook while you're cooking dinner or washing dishes or cleaning the house, organizing, and be prepared to wait on hold if you're going to do something like that. But if it's worth it to you, right, then you'll wait on hold, you'll make it happen. But you have to ask. And then number 7, will it bounce back? Now, it here could be a lot of things. It could be your job. If you lost your job or you lost hours at your job, is it going to come back? It could be the stock market. Maybe you had money in the stock market. Is the market going to bounce back? Schools, right? We don't really know if schools are going to reopen this year, or if there's going to be any kind of adverse long-term consequences, right? Are schools going to bounce back? There's all kinds of it's that people are wondering. These things are gone. Are they going to bounce back? Particularly businesses, right? Will my favorite local restaurant still be open in 6 months, right? Will it bounce back? And the question I would ask is, how long are you going to wait, right? How long do you wait for your job to bounce back before you look for a new job? How long do you wait for the stock market to bounce back before you sell your stocks? How long before you just start homeschooling permanently? Like, maybe that part's a little extreme, but particularly with the stock market, a lot of people say, well, I can't sell when it's low because it used to be here and now it's here, so I can't sell here because I want it to get back up to there. And then other people say, well, I can't sell here because then I'm going to have all these taxes and, all these things I have to account for. When is a good time to sell? That might be the question you have to ask. Like, how long are you going to wait before you decide, I don't want to be in the game anymore in that way? Or for a new job, like, how long would you wait before you decide, I probably should just go work at menial job X and make, minimum wage for a while rather than wait for my other job to come back. That's a very unique, individualized decision, totally your decision to make, but have a deadline and stick to that deadline. There's this idea that if you're playing a game and you keep moving the goalpost, nobody ever wins, right? Can you imagine the game of football or, where they keep moving the end zone further and further back? Ask the question, how long do you wait before you make whatever change it is? And then put those goalposts there. And when you get to that point, make that change rather than pushing the goalposts back. And that's how you win. So how long do you wait? Make your decision and stick with it. Okay, number 8. Now we're getting a little less specific now. So number 8, find the most effective project you've been putting off and do it. Maybe you make a list of all the projects you've been meaning to do but haven't had time for, or maybe you've started and never finished. And then take that list and order it by what will bring you the biggest impact to meet your biggest need. So if your need is extra cash and you've been setting aside stuff for a yard sale that you've never done that yard sale, maybe you sell that stuff online now and you get that extra cash. Or maybe your need is you need more meals to cook, to eat at home, and you've got all these different recipes that are totally disorganized. Maybe that organizing those recipes will help you do a faster job shopping, so you're less exposed and budget better for those groceries, that kind of thing. Once you make that list and then you prioritize it, you'll start to see what is going to have the biggest impact for your current need. And then just start the list. Start the first project at the top and work your way down. Get as many done as you can. Or if that first project is like, oh, this is going to take way too long, it's going to be way too stressful, I know it'll have a big impact, but I don't know where to start, then pick another one from the top 5 that seems really easy or seems really fast to do, and do that. And then come back, once you've got that little boost of confidence, you've seen some results, then maybe go back and do one of the more difficult or would take a longer time for you. So great time to do some projects, and especially projects that will help you manage your money, right? In some way, shape, or form. And then number 9, I've said this a bunch, the best question you can ask, but this is maybe the most powerful question you can ask. And it's this: who do you want to be when this crisis is over? Who you are in difficult times can really propel you to be a better version of yourself during good times too, right? So lean into ways you can grow as an individual, or if you're locked inside with family, ways you can grow as a family. Maybe you do some self-care routines on your own apart from your family to help grow that way. Or maybe you do some fitness as a family together to have some fun in the backyard, or something like that. In particular, since I think a lot about money, I think this is a great time to reevaluate how you manage your money. Now, I did not want to use the word budget at all during this whole thing, because I don't think budget in the classical sense is what you need at this time. But you do need some money practices, some ways to plan your spending, to give your dollars that you have in your bank account assignments, what you need them to do for you. And I think YNAB, or You Need a Budget, does a really great job of helping you do that. They actually say you've never budgeted like this before. It's a very different way of looking at your spending, your income, your spending. It actually works really well if you have variable income as well. And I put this bit.ly link there, because if you use this bit.ly link to sign up, then they have a free trial, and then you get a month free after that free trial if you sign up for it and pay for the year. It's I forget how much it is. I shouldn't even say, because they changed the price, I think. And then we get a month free too. We use this. So kind of fun that if you use that link, that you'll get a month free and we'll get a month free. And yeah, that's all we get. We don't get paid by them or anything like that. And of course, that month's only good as long as we keep using it ourselves, which we do. We've used it for several years now. So if you're thinking about how do I get better at managing my money and thinking through, I've got this income, I need to use it in these ways, both short-term and long-term, YNAB's a great thing to look at. They also have lots of trainings, both live trainings and pre-recorded, that you can look through about how do I decide whether I can afford X, Y, or Z, or how, things like that. They've got lots of videos like that. Okay, and then number 10, think long term. I saved this one for the last because I think it might be the most controversial. If none of this has been controversial yet, then great, but I'm sure it has. I think this one, though, is the most controversial. I don't know how many times I've heard over and over and over again, just to focus on the next 24 hours. Get through the next 24 hours. Just focus, day to day, get through each day. But for me, I don't know if this is true for everybody. For me, though, thinking long term, where do I want to be in 5, 10, 20 years? That gives me the creative ideas for what I need to do today. Back in December, coming into 2020, Brandon and I wrote some 3 to 5 year goals that we wanted to accomplish. And those goals have actually shown us that what we need to be doing in the here and now, and actually doing these live conversations as part of reaching those 3 to 5 year goals. And I wouldn't have come up with this idea or put myself out there and put all this time and effort into talking in front of a computer to who knows who's listening if I didn't have those big goals and dreams and I wasn't willing to still think about them. And in terms of you and your individual goals and dreams, or your family's goals and dreams, I think it's really important not to lose sight of them right now. Because it's kind of like, if you're like, picture yourself, you're in a car, your whoever, your closest friends and family are with you, the people you want along with you for the next 5, 10, 20 years. You're in this car, you're the driver, you're driving along, and all of a sudden you can't see very far in front of you. Like you get into a dense fog. It's almost like the road just disappears, and the road, you would probably stop because you're like, I think I could go over a cliff. I don't know what's going to happen, right? Like, that's really scary. But if you are in that car, you've still got the map, you know where you're going, you've got a GPS. And if you can just see, the 100 yards in front of you, like however far your headlights can go or whatever, then you know where you're going. Your GPS is helping you make sure you're on the right road, and you just keep going, and you make sure you've got enough runway for the next 100 yards, right? Or to come back to like what we're talking about, the next 24 hours, you've got that GPS for 5, 10, 20 years from now that shows you what you need to be doing the next 24 hours. And if you can see the ground underneath you, you can see the things you need to be doing. You're still headed in the right direction. Sure, you might change a little bit. Maybe you go a different path if the road is cut out in front of you, right? Your goals and dreams might be here, and you might have to sorry, I hit the microphone. You might have to go around this way to get to them rather than taking a direct path. But that doesn't mean your goals and dreams should change. Or maybe they're here and they just move a little bit this way. Because of Corona, or maybe they get closer, or maybe they get a little further away. A 5-year dream becomes a 6-year dream, something like that. But the point here is keep those goals and dreams alive, and they might just give you the how-to, the creative ideas that you need to have this crisis just be a speed bump rather than a cliff along your financial journey that you're going on. So I said a lot there. I'm going to pause for a second. We're going to go into the open floor. I saw that maybe somebody put something into the chat, so I'm going to check in on that. Oh, it was Brandon saying, remember to write questions, thoughts, ideas. We can also bring people live on if they want to unmute themselves and talk a little bit. If you have any problems unmuting yourself, let me know and I can unmute you. This is your time. I'm going to take a sip of water and pause. Brandon, I trust that you're checking the Facebook too to see if there's anybody commenting there. Okay. So before we went live on Facebook, I shared this quote from General George Patton. Never tell people how to do things. Tell them what to do, and they will surprise you with their ingenuity. So that's what I kind of aim to do today. Give you some ideas of what you could do. Look for what sticks out to you, and then be creative. Be ingenuous. That's a word, I think, with how you will figure out how to put it into action. Of course, some of the things are more specific, and we're a little bit more of a how-to. But that's what I was hoping to accomplish. Oh, I have to unmute. Wes, do you want unmuted? Yeah? I'm going to unmute. Wes, I can hear you, I think.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, this has been good. I I pretty much I'm working for myself right now, and I didn't know how hard it would be to keep up with taxes. I filed my taxes last year. I don't think I'm gonna be getting the check because I filed them for 2018, and I still have to file them for this year. Um, and so I owed last year, so I don't think I'll be getting a refund. So the amount that I owe is like 2,000. So there goes there goes my uh COVID-19 relief check. So
Maybe not. Maybe not. Here's some hope for you, Wes.
yeah.
So, a lot of the time, why the self employed have to pay taxes is because they didn't pay enough throughout the year.
Okay.
But even, you think about an employee, they have taxes withheld from their paycheck, right? That's sent into the
Right.
IRS. And then
Right.
they get a refund because they overpaid. So
Okay.
when you as a self-employed person pay, you might not have paid enough throughout the year. And so
Right.
they're saying you actually need to pay a little bit more. What's
Right.
happening with this COVID stimulus package is that they're saying if you would have paid, if you were going to pay $2,000 next April 2021 for 2020's taxes,
Right.
and we're actually going to, from what I understand, again, fact check this, but from what I understand, it's instead, you're as an individual, if you meet the income guidelines, you're actually only going to owe 800 instead of 1,200. So we're going to go ahead and give you 1,200 now. It's considered an advance
Right.
of what you, and then as a self-employed person, you might have a good idea of your taxes. You might be filing them quarterly now. And so you might have been planning, by April 15th to pay your Q1 quarterly estimated payments.
Right.
So they're kind of expecting you to maybe still do that, maybe not April 15th, maybe July 15th or something like that.
Right.
And so they're giving you this advance to kind of help you through that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's encouraging. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't want to take up too much of the time because I got a lot of questions and I won't even share all of them. But I guess a quick background to what my wife and I have been planning. There's a saying that goes, "Man plans, God laughs."
Yeah.
And so, but the funny thing is, we got onto this. We're downsizing to get on board with our finances, and unfortunately, if I've had a lot of obstacles I went through, and I've actually lost my 401k package at a job I had a long time ago, so I don't have a 401k anymore. Even when I went to look for it, they said it didn't make any sense. They said it went back to the bank. So anyways, our backstory is before the coronavirus, we were moving into a smaller apartment. We were cutting all of our costs. We got rid of our Netflix. We don't have cable. We're planning on selling a lot of things to launch our business. So we're planning on giving 100% focus on our business that we wanted to launch this year, and so that we can have so we wanted to downsize and cut costs to have a lot of runway
Yeah.
to launch the business in a shorter amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then this comes around, and so we're kind of like still in our 3-bedroom apartment, and our plan for selling our furniture and some of the stuff we didn't feel like we needed to, like, our plan was to have people actually buy it and take it out of the house,
Yeah.
like come in, they would come in and buy, and actually,
Mm-hmm.
and that will give us less to move, so we wouldn't have to rely on friends and family to help us move. So
Yeah.
that all fell through, and that's pretty much it. It's like we kind of got the idea of what to do at cutting costs and treating money the right way, but our action plan was written. We didn't even have time to do it, but
Mm-hmm.
our action plan was written too late. So
Yeah.
so we're kind of like we're kind of like in a limbo state right
Yeah.
now, and I've done what you just mentioned. I called all my creditors, and I've been communicating with the management to our apartment, and
Yeah.
that's it. And then how I earn my money is through rideshare driving. So I'm a gig contract worker,
Yeah.
and then I'm learning web developing and design right now.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's how I've been using my time, is by online learning. So
Okay.
that's about everything. Yeah, I don't want to I can talk a long time.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Yeah.
Well, so what I kind of remember when I was talking about like the goalpost, right? You
Yeah.
had this goalpost for, moving your apartment, starting this whole process, and um the things outside your control moved the goalpost for you, right? So you're not going to be able to reach that goal. But what I'd encourage you to think through is, as you're waiting, we know we've got this whole month ahead of us, right? We
Right.
at least April, maybe longer. Um, Look at what you for sure have to accomplish. What, like, you got to buy groceries, right? You got to feed yourself.
Right.
It's great that you're seeing what you can get, avoid or pay later or that kind of thing. So make that list of, here's exactly what I need, to get through this month, or then
Right.
maybe plan a little longer, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And then when you see, like, here's the egg I need to crack, then look at, is what I'm doing with the ride, with being a rideshare driver, is that going to crack that egg? Or do I need to maybe add something else? Like, maybe I try, delivering for Grubhub, or, something like that instead, because they need extra drivers. Or maybe I go get a temporary gig at the grocery store because they need extra workers, or something like that. But first, you got to know what that egg is that you got to crack, and have that clear. Here's exactly what I need. I would say at least 6 weeks, if not, like, try to see what that egg is for 3 months. Like, be really conservative with, if this is going to last for 3 months, what do I got to do to make sure? And just keep
Okay.
asking, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? And if that means, maybe it doesn't mean you got to go get a job. Maybe it means you got to do something different. Then do
Right.
that. But look for what you can do during this time. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yes, it does. So make the planning for 3 months, or to build up security. Like, can you clarify the time frame?
Yeah.
So the
So,
3 months versus, is it 3 months or 3 weeks?
well, so it's really what you think, right? So, um, personally, I'm an over preparer.
Okay.
um, I lean more toward the 3 months. I'd rather be prepared for 3 months and then it be done in a month, right?
Okay.
Then I've just prepared for a month and it ends up lasting 2 or 3. Because then I'm
Oh, I
going to
see.
be back in this situation again in
Right.
4
Right.
weeks, right?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Brendan?
Oh, and I would still say you want to also make sure we're in a epidemic, right? And
Right.
so don't put your health above money that you need as well. Like these goals, yes, it's going to be it might set you back a couple weeks, but make sure that going out and Ubering or whatever, we're in a very different time. So take care of, we want to take care of your financial health, but if you're dead, none of it matters.
Right. Right.
And so we want to make sure that you're looking at the whole picture, not just your financial picture.
Okay. Okay. That's been the biggest challenge right now, whether to go out or not. I do take precautions. I sanitize my car, wear a mask and everything, and I have Lysol. So I spray the
Yeah.
car with Lysol before every passenger gets in and after. So
So I have a couple of Facebook messages. OC, she's asking, hey, Amanda, I've been putting off selling some things on Mercery. I finally posted an item and sold for $45. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So the Amazon world is still booming and working. And so if you can do that, I think that's a big thing.
Yeah. Or eBay or wherever.
eBay,
Yep.
yeah. She also wrote, I hear gig workers can file unemployment now. Do you know anything about that?
I do know about that. I was working on an application actually. I don't know the details of it though. I don't know what that means. But I just know that we can apply for it.
Yeah.
How does that look? I don't know.
Right. And if it's anything like traditional unemployment, it's going to be something, but it's especially if you live in a high cost area like Chicago, right?
Yeah,
A
yeah,
3-bedroom rent is not what 3-bedroom rent is in,
yeah. This,
podunk rural area. So,
yeah,
Yeah.
it, yeah, I'd like apply, take the benefits that you need if that's, the right thing for you, but it might not crack the egg, right? That you
right.
need cracked.
So what?
And
Oh,
she asked before, she asked, how would someone go about planning for 3 months? Her husband's an Uber driver too. I told him to go and apply today. I'd rather him get unemployment than drive and risk his life. I think I was actually watching I'll mention this guy, Dave Ramsey, and he said,
yeah, I know.
he said, "Oh yeah, go get a job, go work, go get pizza, deliver pizza." And there are jobs out there, but again, your health and your health of your family is more important in some regards. And so, um, I say, if that's a way, there's no shame in doing that. Like at this point in time, like that's what it's there for. So
Right, right.
Yeah.
I'm far beyond shame right now.
yeah.
This
Well,
can't feel that
And
way.
that's her questions for her family, and that
Oh,
she just had a baby too. So,
oh
mhm.
wow.
um,
Yeah, there is no shame in taking the help that is being offered to you, whether
Right,
that be unemployment or going to a food bank so that you can feed yourself and your family, or seeking out the assistance of grants or debt forgiveness, any like whatever you can find out there for resources. There's no shame right now, like period. And
okay.
especially if you have a job that is putting your life on the line, right? There's no shame in getting help. And that if that what Brandon was saying, like from what I understand, there are lots of people out there, not just Dave, that are saying don't take these things for whatever reason. And I want to say, no, take the help that's there for you. That's why it's there for you.
Absolutely.
Don't plan on it for 10 years from now, right? Like be a responsible citizen, work when you can. But if you need the temporary help, that's what it's there. It's meant to be temporary help. So take it temporarily.
and Tara wrote, in Arlington, Virginia, the average rent is $1,700 a month, which is high, at least for me. A friend filed unemployment and he gets $600 a week. It's not much, but it'll cover base expenses and some food, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Um,
that's 600 a week is about 2,400 per month. And if rent's 1,700, that only leaves 700 for groceries and any other kind of
gas,
car payment,
car
cell
payment.
phone, all those things. So it's definitely not much when you look at it that way.
Yep, let me see.
Yeah.
I got another comment, I think.
Okay.
Um, just trying to check it out.
Yeah.
We're on Facebook. We tried to go on the YouTubes. We're working on building that. So if you like this, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. There will be questions there as well. And I appreciate everybody that's commenting. She wrote something else. Oh, she wrote that Mercury is an e-commerce marketplace. You
Okay.
post what you want to sell and you'll ship it to the buyer. Mercari. And Anyway, those are things too in this time for all of us. Be creative. Maybe it is time to um, learn. If you're going to start a business, a lot of people are going to be entrepreneurs out of this, I think. And so I recommend, if we got the time, start reading, and maybe start by reading Profit First, and build your foundation. The main thing is what we're seeing, I think, is we've built a society on sand, and it just kind of crumbled in a matter of a couple of days. And so we each have a responsibility and a opportunity to build a stable financial pyramid.
Yeah, I'll just clarify what Brandon's saying there. A lot of businesses and a lot of individuals are struggling right now because they didn't have a lot of cash to get through this crisis. Cash really is queen, right? And the average American has less than $400 ready in case of an emergency. Businesses are in very much the same boat. So when it comes to a loss of income or decrease in business, there's not the cash to keep the business afloat. And that's true like on the small mom and pop level and the individual level, but it's also true on the grand scale with a lot of big businesses as well. And that's part of why we see a lot of or what some theorize why we see a lot of the market volatility that we've been seeing is because some of these big financial institutions that should have a lot of cash, you'd think they do, are over leveraged and they don't have enough available to get through a loss or a lower time. So this Profit First idea, it's a book, it's written for businesses, but it's all about managing the cash within your business, and that can be directly transferred to your life as well. How do you manage the cash so that you've got plenty of cash for what you need, including if a crisis hits or if a great opportunity hits, because the opposite could be true, right? You get a whole bunch of business, you want your business to expand, but you don't have the cash to help it expand. That's going to be really hard as well. So that maybe is like number 11 is, as we come out of this crisis, be thinking about liquidity, having cash available, making sure if there's an opportunity or a crisis again, that you've got the cash to make something happen, whether positive or getting through the negative. Yeah, I see.
Yeah. I was thinking too, like as a former coffee shop owner, as we have staff and all of this, how important it is to support local, help those people, especially when we come out of it, because a lot of them, when it comes to food, our margins are very small, and paying staff and making sure that the small business owners often are last to get paid. And so building a stable foundation, making sure that Profit First is set up, it's going to be all the more important. And as we come out of this, we are going to see a big change, but each of us can do something. And I guess some is have grace for people, be open to what may be the higher power speaking to you. And there's a lot that we can learn from this.
Yep.
Tara wrote something too. Do you want to read it?
Yeah,
Amanda?
she's just reaffirming that if you do want to sell stuff online by like Facebook Marketplace or something like that people are doing that. Especially if you can't go shopping for something you need at home that's not grocery, like you can't find it in the grocery store. People are buying those things online through Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that. And there's ways to have them pick it up or deliver it to them and still stay 6 foot away from each other, sanitize things. So that could be something to look into. I think she's mentioning that for Wes, for you, or for anybody else that is thinking about decluttering, selling some stuff. There's still ways to make it happen.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Tara, appreciate that. A question about starting a business in a time of crisis. I know Brandon and Amanda, I know you guys had a coffee company and you managed it, and you started it from the ground up. So like, would you put starting a business off right now for the time being, or would you just focus on learning and saving money? I mean, it's kind of
So,
hard to save money at this time, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, how would you approach that?
Yeah.
so
If
Oh,
personally,
I was gonna.
oh, I'll start first.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Personally, we started our vision for our coffee shop when we opened, or when we had the idea, was in 2008. And we also we opened in 2011, and a lot of people thought we were nuts. And
Wow.
we probably were nuts to do what we did. Um, but I think, like, one is, it's a faith thing. It's powerful. We knew that we were called to that. We worked really hard at it. I wish we would have made some different choices. Um,
It's part of the
but
learning process.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I think that we started our business after the Great Recession, and
Okay.
I would never go back and maybe do it, but I would again. But I'm glad for the opportunity.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And a little bit of how we did it. We wrote our first business plan in 2008. It took 3 years before we had a brick and mortar coffee shop open to the public, which was what our business plan was.
Right.
During those 3 years, we found what we could do with the resources we had, and we did it. So you couldn't do this right now, but with the virus, but whatever recession we might go into and after the virus is done, or however long this plays out.
Right.
What we did was, literally, I took an empty suitcase on the L from where we were living to a coffee roaster. I filled up the suitcase with bags of coffee from the roaster, brought it back to my neighborhood, and delivered it door to door with pre-orders. And
Wow.
we did that for a long time before that helped us generate some money, pique some interest. And then when we opened, we already had customers because there was already people that knew about us. We did some community events, stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So that the whole idea here is start small.
Right.
Let's say you're selling something that costs $10,000. Nobody's buying anything for $10,000 right now because they're trying to, conserve their cash, make sure they can get through this crisis. But maybe you offer a smaller version of it for $1,000, or, be creative like that. Think of how you can start small with what you have today, and see what happens. Maybe that first small idea doesn't work, but the second small idea will. Keep experimenting, keep looking for ways to go forward, and I bet you'll see some paths emerge.
We want to stay completely online and digital,
Great.
and I don't know if that even makes a difference with how long it would take. I do want to start small, so I'm planning on doing something like you guys were doing, meeting your customers face to face with delivering coffee. But since I'm in digital design, it would be like freelance work at first, and then meeting people online like we're doing here,
Yep.
and holding the initial consulting process of it, and then we'll move on to the design part. But this is where I would start, and then I would grow from there. But I don't even know. I have no idea what that clearly step by step would look like. So
yeah. Well, the best advice I can give you is go ask potential clients. Ask them, hey,
Okay.
if you were not thinking you're looking for digital design services right now, but if you were looking,
Right.
what would you want it to look like? What kind of problems would you want to be solved? What kind of opportunities would you want to look for? What are your biggest fears? What are your biggest hopes? Collect as much data as you can, because then you'll get the language that you need to use when people are looking to buy and when you meet the right people to do business with you.
Okay. I've had one guy come back to me that asked for help. You know, I helped him build a Wix page, but he wanted more services, and he actually asked me to help another person. So
Great.
that's good. You know, that's
Yeah.
a start. You know, and then there's a guy that's asking me how much I know about a platform, and he has his own business, but he wants to outsource it to me. So
Cool.
that's something else. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Sounds like you're on the right track.
Yeah, yeah, and I got loads of questions. Do you guys have more to share in this
Nope.
Nope.
this
We're
lesson?
gonna. We could end the live.
Yeah.
And we
And
could
end
stay
the
on
recording and just keep
yeah.
talking with you.
So
Oh,
yeah, so I want to say if you've joined us for the live or on the YouTube as it comes there, if you can, we want to do this for you. We want to help as many people as we can get through this crisis as much financially unscathed as possible. And so what we would ask is subscribe to our page, like Grandma's Wealth Wisdom, and share it with people as we go. So thanks everybody for listening. Again, thanks for being a part of Grandma's Wealth Wisdom, where we want to help you
Break through to a smart, stable financial future.
even during this recession. We can do this even now. So don't let this crisis steal your hope for that.
Absolutely. Okay. Stopping the recording now. See ya.